Welcome to You Ask For It, where you send us questions or ask us questions, and we answer them to the best of our ability with
if behavior means anything,
Jesus
means nothing.
At all.
Okay. And
just remember that.
There's this barrier between us and God.
Being right with God.
And Jesus makes it right by moving the barrier, and then we can be right with God.
We should do like a curtain.
A curtain or a wall.
Good idea.
Yeah, something. Some sort of barrier.
Anyway, we just didn't want you to forget that.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
But now on.
We do have a question.
Okay.
Here's the question for today.
Okay.
Take my old eyes off. Here we go. Outside of all the evidence for Jesus' life, death, and resurrection, what do you think the most compelling evidence is for the proof of God's existence?
God or Jesus?
It says God's existence.
So you take Jesus
So
out of the mix.
outside of Jesus, what's the question?
Outside of all the evidence of Jesus' life, death, and resurrection, what is the most compelling evidence for the proof of God's existence?
Creation.
Okay. We'll see you next week. Hopefully that answers the question. I'm sorry. We all didn't get to go.
Yeah.
Mine would be take a look around.
So creation.
Yeah. Yep. Just worded differently. Yeah. Yeah.
I think you have to purposely have your mind set on disproving God. Anyone with an open mind looking at creation would be overwhelmingly convinced that there is a God. You can't look at creation and say there's not a creator.
Right. And
it's impossible.
There's been people that have sought out to disprove God.
Yeah.
And found that there is no other answer that makes sense.
There is no
other
answer.
than God in their search, and actually came to God through that search.
You have to you have to really, really want not to believe, to not see the evidence of God in creation.
I know in school, I know they've changed things now, but when I was in school, I would look at the science books and try to understand how they could not believe in God, because anytime I read it, it just kept leading back to God for me. So for me, I look around and I see, and I don't know, taking Jesus out of the mix is a little bit harder.
I agree with what you guys said. I'll use a little more technical term. There's this thing, I forget exactly what it's called, but it's something along the lines of the Kalam cosmological argument or something like that. It sounds Middle Eastern, but I don't know where it came from. But anyway, the basic premise is this, that everything that has ever existed has a cause, a first cause, nothing just popped up out of nowhere sort of thing. The universe began to exist, so therefore the universe has a first cause, a cause sort of thing. So kind of that creation thing. There's an author and speaker and apologist named William Lane Craig, talks a lot about it, written some books. I would suggest looking that up if you're really interested in this, but that kind of work through of creation, that this couldn't have just happened out of nowhere. The odds of forming a perfectly functioning, orderly universe out of nothing are statistically impossible. You just go through all those different lines, and I agree, you can't, I just don't see how anybody could logically come to the position that there is no God. And then I would take the question a step further than even what they're asking, although I have to bring in the Jesus part. Then once you've established there is a God, or there is some sort of deity, or even multiple deities, or whatever you think that first cause is, then I think follow the evidence for each one. Okay, how reliable is it? What are the writings on it? Is it back? Those sort of things. And Christianity just wins out overwhelmingly.
Every time.
From history to verifiability to amounts of writings, it is clear beyond a shadow of a doubt.
I think a lot of confusion comes in with the length of time. So the Bible says about a 6-day creation, And I think that's where people run into the biggest problem with, well, the Bible can't be right. And I am not smart enough or have studied this enough. There are some people who really believe that it was created in 6 days, and that's what the Bible says, 6 days. But there are others who would say the 6 days means 6 time periods, and maybe the earth, maybe God did create things over, thousands, hundreds of millions of years. But
Sure.
I think that is the question that gets people to, if you get past that question and just tell yourself this, okay, maybe we don't really understand what a day was. Now, I am settled in my heart, but for you to just say maybe on day one, that was one time period. How long did that time period last? If you get past that, I think that it's overwhelmingly anyone. We've all heard the analogy that you look at a wristwatch and you say, well, this has a specific design to it. And I say, well, there has to be a designer. It just comes to that simplicity. Everything has a design. Everything has to have a designer. Somebody put that design. That's what you're talking about, that original start thing. So I think another evidence to Christianity without Jesus, I think, is people's lives. A lot of people, what I've noticed is, and I've seen in myself, I thought, there is a real living God. This is before I was a Christian. When Christian people who really loved God and knew God were dying, that was a huge evidence to me. Because a lot of people can live good lives. That doesn't prove you're a Christian. A lot of people can be really... We've all met people, they're so giving and so kind, and they're atheists. So that doesn't... But I have seen people die over the years, and the only ones, and I mean this, the only people that I have seen, and this isn't all of them, but the only people I've seen die with total peace is Christian people. I've never seen anybody die with peace. And I mean really from the inside, except Christian people.
Yeah. There's got to be no scarier time in your life that, hey, I'm dying. I'm on my way out. And I don't understand it, but I do understand it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's scary because it's the fear of the unknown. Like, well, what are we going to go through here and whatever? But I mean, you're going to go be with Jesus. So why wouldn't that be like, yeah, bring on. It's like you're waiting in line for a ride you really want to get on. Like, this is going to be so much fun. That's where you're at. You're just further along in the line.
Yeah.
Back
up a little bit. You're wearing a hat that says Creation Museum. Tell us about that.
It's a museum that talks about creation.
Okay, I got that part.
We're going to see you next week.
Oh, my God.
Two of my kids went on the youth trip. That was just last week.
With 2 of my kids.
Yeah, with 2 of her
Two of my
kids.
grandkids.
And 2 of your grandkids.
And yes.
Hey, we got a theme going here. Two.
Your kids need to get a little bit
You have
older.
2 kids? Did they? Oh. Yeah. He's got 2 little baby children. So anyway.
Maybe someday you can be a believer.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So anyway, they went to Valley Fair or something real spiritual while they were gone. They went to the Ark experience, and then the Creation Museum.
As in Noah's Ark.
Yeah, the Noah's Ark
Exhibit.
Yeah, which was I saw pictures of it. It's huge, and it was pretty impressive. They enjoyed the heck out of it.
So what's in the Creation Museum?
Dinosaurs are in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, of course.
Yeah. They took pictures of it. They're like, "Wow, what's this?" Yeah.
My son actually took pictures of a bunch of different evolution theories because as the group was walking by, they're teenagers and they aren't going to stop. He goes, "But Mom, that looked actually really important." So I decided to take pictures so I could read it later.
Nice.
So I was going to take a look at that later today.
Yeah. Yeah. Adam and Eve were in there in the Creation Museum.
They're still around?
Yeah. It was really them.
Weird.
Yeah.
Were they naked?
Yeah, they were naked. No.
No, they had leaves. They had leaves.
Oh, my God.
No,
They had leaves.
They had leaves. They had leaves. Yeah,
They had leaves. Good.
Yeah. It was after.
Why leaves?
It wasn't pre.
They had animal skins.
Okay. Well, I think they had leaves.
I don't know.
I from the picture I saw, I couldn't
that's
really
what all
tell.
the Renaissance art says. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
where I base my
There was
beliefs
these little
off
baby cherub angels everywhere, and it was cool.
yeah.
It looked like an Ann
of.
Getty's.
Naked babies.
Naked. Yeah. No, it was good. They had a
Maybe the
blast.
person who asked this question
Mm-hmm.
should look up the Creation Museum.
Yeah, in Kentucky or somewhere near Kentucky,
Ohio, maybe.
Yeah.
Ohio, Kentucky.
I think there's the guy who runs that. I think his name is Ken Ham. Maybe is that right?
I think so, yeah.
He's got a website called Answers in Genesis, which is very more of an intellectual kind of scientific.
Some of it's
look
over
at-
my head, to be honest with you.
a lot of it's over my head,
Yeah.
but he basically sets out to answer that very question that was asked today. He's just a lot smarter than all of us.
Okay.
And
Doesn't
has a
take
lot of
much.
other smart people on his team. So go to Answers in Genesis.
Yeah. So if you want more answers that you didn't get here, feel free to check that out. His name is Ham.
Ken Ham.
Ken Ham.
Yep.
Hey, another thing that would prove the existence of God without Jesus Christ is some of the writings in the Old Testament. That archaeology is discovering. I think some people say science and faith are opposed to each other. I think science proves faith all the time, all the time. And so modern archaeology and things really prove and shown evidence to what God says or what God did in the world before Jesus. And I think some of that stuff's just been proven, which is really evidence. These writings, are thousands of years old, and yet they can be proven, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and the other cool thing, I mean, if you're going to take Jesus out, if you look at a lot of the world religions, they don't contradict the Old Testament.
No,
They agree, like they correspond.
especially Judaism
Yeah. Crazy.
That was
Crazy.
really close, really.
and Islam. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's that Jesus piece that changes things.
Yep. Yeah. He was a game changer.
He was a game changer.
And what was the
He's
saying?
all right.
What was the saying? Without behaviors,
If behaviors,
Behaviors
mean
mean
anything,
anything.
Anything.
then Jesus means
It's
nothing.
so it's all about Jesus.
Yeah, that. Yeah.
In regards to being right with God.
Yes. All right. Well, hopefully that answered it. And if it didn't, like I said, you can go check out Ken Ham. Google him, see what his website
Google
has.
him.
Google him up.
Oh, up.
And we'll see you next week.
Yep.